Are you one of those people who believe you cannot get juvenile information from public records? It's understandable if you are. There are a lot of so-called experts out there teaching exactly that. Today I'm going to show you step by step how you can do what they say can't be done. Hi, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. We're going to start out with a generic public records request, a kind of a very interesting one actually, but with no personally identifiable information, and we're going to bring our investigation through until we identify the people, the entire case, and the end. There is a twist, there's a surprise, there's one more piece of information. No way you can guess it, no way you can see it coming. Here's our public records request. It is to a city police department requesting all use of force incidents against juveniles for an entire year. Now, everything here that's redacted, I did that. We're going to be working with real cases with real people, and there's no reason for us to put a scarlet letter on them. People can change. I firmly believe that. Some people do change. I don't want to stick these 15, 16, 17-year-olds with something online that they got to carry around the rest of their life like luggage. But here we are with the actual cases that we're going to look at. There's 23 cases here. About half of them, the police officer used his or her firearm. There are no cases here that I see that have a discharge of the firearm, and there's no one here that I see is shot. It looks like these are cases where mostly the weapon is drawn and pointed until they got compliance from the individual, the juvenile in question, a juvenile that they're trying to apprehend and make an arrest on. The first column is the date of the incident. The next column that's available is the age of the individual, the race of the juvenile, the gender of the juvenile. This column that I have completely blanked out, this is an internal police code for the part of the city where the incident occurred. It's not necessary for our purposes here today. The call type, this is what the officer was dispatched on. And then you can see the charges, sometimes multiple charges brought against the juvenile, including, all sorts of things, weapons charges, resisting arrest, and whatnot. Both of the last two columns are the types of force that the officer used, everything from drawing his or her firearm to just control, pushing, pulling, that type of thing. I'm kind of impressed actually by the police, the restraint that they show. If you look at this one particular case here, the officer is dispatched on a shots fired call. You can see that eventually the juvenile was charged with a weapons offense and some other things, which means there probably was a gun around. But this officer, I mean, what would you do? You're dispatched to shots fired, and he shows up and never even draws his weapon. He only uses his body weight and a control hold to restrain this young person. Now you can go through and investigate each one of these cases separately. I'm going to try for a hat trick here. I'm going to try to find out the information behind 3 cases with just using one investigation. Let me show you how that's done. Right here you can see there's a case with 3 young males, two 15-year-olds and a 17-year-old. And the call type that the officer was dispatched on was an accident report, an automobile accident, damage accident. Eventually, you can see these young people were charged with robbery. So we have no names, no date of birth, no addresses. How do we address this? Well, based on my experience, and if you don't have a lot of experience with this, you can get some training. I do have the public records mini course over at ShadowAnyone.com, but I know there's obviously with this auto accident going to be an auto accident report filed. So my very first step is to pull all the auto accidents from that day. Now, if this sounds like a lot of work, it's not that bad. I'm going to show you how to pare this down very quickly, but also don't be afraid of a little bit of work. If someone's telling you this stuff is easy and simple, I mean, it ain't hard. It ain't hard, but be a little weary of people who are trying to tell you there's no work involved. So what I did is I'm going to look at all the accident reports for this day, and not just at the state level. I'm going to look down and not just even to the county level, but we know this is a request from a specific police department. So all I've got to do is look through the auto accidents for that one police department. Now, when I begin my search, I quickly see there are scores of accidents that day. And the plain fact of the matter is, I'm just going to have to go through each one individually to see which one matches this incident. So I made a public records request, got all the accident reports for this city, and started to go through them. Report number 19 is where I hit the pay dirt. And here's a copy of that actual accident report with all the details that we're interested in. Now, how do I know this is the accident report we're interested in? I was able to very quickly go through these accident reports, flipping right to the page that had the person information, not the car information. We don't know what kind of vehicle was involved. But very quickly, going through this report, I can see on pages 4 and 5 all the parties involved. And I can see that the driver of the one vehicle was a 17-year-old male. That matches what we've got here. And there were 2 other occupants in that car, both 15-year-old males. This is a match. There was a 16 and a 17-year-old male involved also. And if you're familiar with auto theft and crime in general, this is kind of a bunch of young guys steal a car, go driving around. This matches what we're looking at here exactly. The details from the accident you can find in the narrative of the accident report, and it's kind of interesting. Unit number 1 ran a red light. That's the kids in the stolen car. 5 people exited the unit and fled. All 5 were apprehended. And we know that use of force was used on 3 of them because we have that use of force public records request. But what we also have with this accident report is the names of all the people that were in that car. Every one of those juveniles, I've got the name and date of birth for. Also, I've got an address for one of those juveniles. So what did we do? We started out with generic, vanilla, nothing information and managed to flesh that out into names, dates of birth, and even an address. I promised you a twist at the end, a surprise there's no way you could see coming, and I'm going to share that with you. I do want to let you know that if you're interested in doing this kind of deep dive, real world investigations using public records, please do check out my public records mini course over at ShadowAnyone.com. Here's the surprise twist ending. The second unit, the second car involved in the accident, was also a stolen auto. An unknown operator exited the vehicle and fled, and actually I can tell you they did not catch that guy. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about what I taught in this week's video, please let me know. I'll get back to as many people as I can. In the meantime, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing. Hey, just a little aside here about investing in yourself. Of course, I have the Public Records mini course, but you know, there's a lot of reasons to get paid training. And hopefully as I teach things for free here, you say, man, if Larry's giving that away for free, what the heck has he got in his paid training? And I'm not even talking, that Public Records mini course is not one of my expensive courses, but it gives you an opportunity to invest in yourself, to show yourself that you're worth the time, the energy, and the money for personal development. That's what I do. I'm not interested in buying things. I'm interested in buying things that make me a better person or help make me a better person if I use them. Even this free video here, I would explain it like this. If you watch this and just click away and do nothing else with it, you're like a hungry man who's having a dream about eating. You're going to wake up, your stomach's still going to be empty. If you really want to do this stuff, take some time and practice and use the things you've learned here today and use the things that you can learn in my Public Records mini course. Again, remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.